Alright, Cubs, so welcome to our reading time. So today we're going to talk about and read a book called Wild About Books by Judy Sahara, pictures by Mark Brown. But before we get into that, we're going to talk about a couple things. We're going to talk about things like our essential question and our focus question. Hmm, what is an essential question? What is a focus question? Why is that even important? Well, a focus question and an essential question are things to get your brain going and thinking about certain things as you're reading a book. So you're going to hear essential question and focus question a lot throughout the whole year. So think of them as, say you're in a restaurant and you're really, really hungry, right? Sometimes mom and dad order something called an appetizer for you to eat, but while you're waiting on your main meal. So the focus question and essential question is kind of like an appetizer to help you get your brain going and get your mind ready to answer questions and see things in a bigger picture. Okay. So our focus question is our focus question is, how do the librarian make reading fun and wild about books? And also our essential question is, how does reading help us learn? So those are our appetizer questions that we need to have in our brain as we read our new book. Okay? So as we begin reading, you're thinking about those questions, but we're not going to answer those questions right now, right? We're going to answer those questions later on as you continue to read this book. For now, you have a job to do. So, in part of your job, you need to begin to notice. So if you see the eyes, you're gonna notice things and wonder things. So if you see the eyes, I notice, that means you're going to see things in the book. So that means you got to pay attention so you can see what you notice in the book. When we're talking about I notice statements, you're going to say I notice, and you're going to tell me what you saw in the book. So I notice blank. So that means you need to pay attention in the book and be ready to tell me what are some things that you noticed in the book. Same thing with I wonder. Now notice there's some question marks with I wonder, right? I wonder means you need to ask a question. So you got who, what, when, where, and how, right? So you need to be able to form a question, ask a question. So I wonder what. So you're going to ask one question about this book, and you're going to give me something that you saw in the book. So make sure you're paying attention as we read our book together. Okay? Let's read our book. Wild About Books. Written by Judy Sahara. Pictures by Mark Brown. It started the summer of 2002 when the Springfield librarian Molly McGrew by mistaken drove her bootmobile into the zoo. Molly opened the door and she sat down the stair, turned on the computer and sat in her chair. At first the animals watched from a distance, but Molly concurred the strongest resistance. By reading aloud from the good Dr. Seuss, she quickly attracted a mink and a moose, a wombat, an onyx, a lemur, a lynx, 8 elephant calves, and a family of stinks. In a flash, every beast in the zoo was stampeding to learn all about this new something called reading. Forsaking their niches, their nests, and their nooks, they went wild, simply wild, about wonderful books, choosing thin books and fat books and cat in the hat books, and new books and true books. and heaps of how-to books. Giraffes wanted tall books and crickets craved small books, while geckos could only read stick to wall books. The pandas demanded more books in Chinese. Molly filled their requests, always eager to please. She even found waterproof books for the otters, who never went swimming without Harry Potter. Raccoons read alone, and baboons read in bunches. All llamas read dramas while eating their lunches. Hyenas shared jokes with the red belly snakes, and they howled and hissed till their funny bones ached. A tree kangaroo who adored Nancy Drew began solving mysteries right there at the zoo, such as why were the barracudas book overdue? Gently Molly taught lessons in treating books right, for the boa constrictor squeeze cricked her too tight. Baby bunnies mucked up Goodnight Moon with their paws. Giant termites devoured the Wizard of Oz. Is that how we supposed to treat our books? Are we supposed to eat our books? Or get our books dirty? No. Let's keep reading. Remember, you're thinking about what you're noticing, so what you see in the book, and what questions you have about the book. A bear's love of books was completely outrageous. They lit all the pictures right off of the pages. Tasmanian devils found books so exciting, they soon had given up fighting for writing. They made up adventures so thrilling and new that others decided to be authors too. Pythons wrote with their tails, penguins wrote with their bills, and porcupines wrote with their own quills. At the new insect zoo, bugs were scribing haikus. The scorpion gave each a stinging review. As the cheetah's new novel began to take shape, he read chapters each night to the bear barely ate, and although the gazelle couldn't spell very well, like everyone else, she had a story to tell. Imagine the hippo's enormous surprise when her memoir was given the Zoologist Prize. With so many new books, Molly knew what to do. She hired 12 beavers, a stork, and a grue to build a branch library there at the zoo. Then the animals cried, "We can do it ourselves! We can check the books out! We can put them on shelves!" And they did, and they do, up to this very day. Three cheers for Zooberry! Hip hip hooray! When you visit the zoo now, you surely won't mind if the animals seem just a bit hard to find. They are snugged in their niches, their nests, and their nooks, going wild, simply wild, about wonderful books. The end. All right, so we just got done reading a really cool book, and now we're about to do the job that we was assigned. You need to think about what was your I notice statement. So what did you see in the book? Okay? So make sure you're saying I notice statement. So I notice what? Let's do two examples together. So for example, if I have my book, I notice that the librarian was reading. So remember this page? Do you see the librarian reading? Yeah. So that's what I'm going to put. I noticed the librarian reading. So I noticed the librarian reading. Good job. So let's do another one. What is something else we noticed in the book? Remember this page? Yeah, I noticed a penguin. So I can say penguin. So I noticed, remember you're using those I notice statements. I noticed a penguin. Good job. So we used that I notice statement and we came up with two. Make sure you have one ready when we meet about what is your I notice statement for your book, okay? Now, I wonder. Let's switch over to I wonder. We're about to switch over to I wonder. Remember, we have these question marks, right? So it's asking us a question. So we got who, what, when, where, and why. So, for example, if I'm looking through my book and I'm thinking of questions that I can ask, oh, I got a good one. I wonder why the scorpion was so mean. Was the scorpion? Yes. So the scorpion was mean. He was giving so many stinging reviews. He didn't say nothing good about anybody's writing. So that's my question. I wonder why the scorpion, so S, so mean. He seemed pretty mean to me. Now, if we're asking a question, we always make sure we have a question mark. Okay? So one of my questions, why the scorpion was so mean? So we just asked a question. Let me ask one more. Of course, we can get our questions from the book. So if you need to go back and reread the book, by all means, you can go back and reread that story, okay? So if I'm flipping through my book and I'm remembering questions that I had or things that made me go, those are things that I want to go back because that means I had a question. Oh, do you remember this page? What are they doing on this page? Yeah, the bears are licking the pictures off the pages. I wonder why they are doing that. I wonder why are the bears licking the pictures? I think that's a good question because do you think pictures taste good? No, I don't think they taste good. So those are my questions. I use why in both of them, but of course you can use your wonder wheel to ask a question however you want to. You can use who, what, when, where, and why. So make sure you practice an I notice statement. All right, guys. So that comes to the end of our lesson for today. So in your exit ticket, so this is your packet. Remember, in your exit ticket, you need to come up with a I notice statement. So remember, we came up with two I notice statements together. So I noticed the librarian reading. I noticed a penguin. Now, granted, Are those good ideas that we thought of together? Yes. But I want you to come up with something different. So remember things that you saw in the book and give me different I noticed, well, two different I noticed statements, okay? So you could draw what you noticed in your in the book today. Please don't do the same things that we did together. Give me something different, okay? So of course you got your I notice and practice saying your I notice statements to your mom or dad, okay? That is it for your exit ticket for reading. Good job. Thank you for showing your persistence today. You rocked out today.